Okay, so we've seen our basic introduction to a for loop. They all follow this pattern. Some initial expression with some variable. It's like a counter. And then we have our condition that dictates how long or when the loop should run until. And then we have our increment expression, which is really not a great name for it. That is what the docs use on MDN, but you can decrement. You could do something like divide your number or multiply your number, but typically we are going upwards and we're incrementing. So let's make another variation. Let's make a loop that prints out even numbers. Even numbers from 0 to 20. Okay? So it would be, let me just comment this out so we don't get a whole bunch of numbers. 4. Let I, which is pretty common to use I, as we've seen, we'll start at 0. And we want to go while we can do less than or equal to 20, or we could just say less than 21. Really, for some reason, my brain prefers less than or equal. I don't know, maybe it just seems more explicit to me, but it is an extra character to put that equal sign in there when we could get away with less than 21. Anyway, then after that, we need to figure out what we're going to increment I each time through this loop. If I just did plus equal 1, I console.log I. We hopefully know what to expect, 0 to 20. But I want even numbers. So I want 0, and then I want to skip 1 and go right to 2, and then go to 4, then go to 6. So I'm going to plus equal 2. So I will start at 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 20? Yes. So we console.log 0. Then we're going to add 2 to I. So next time through, it's 2. And we keep going. We print out 2. We add 2. And eventually we hit 18. We add 2. We get 20. We print out 20. And then we add 2. That's 22. And this is no longer true. And we're done. And that's what we get. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. All right. Now, if I wanted to skip that 0 and just do 2, 4, 6, 8, how could we do that? Well, it's just the starting point. We'll start at 2. Now, what if I wanted to do odd numbers? So 1, 3, 5, 7. Well, I could start at 1. And now we're adding 2. And that doesn't mean something's even. If you add 2 to it, it's just 2 more than what you had before, right? So 1 plus 2 is 3, 5, 7, and there we go. We have odd numbers. Okay, so let's do one more example. Let's do something pretty different. Let's count down from 100. And I want to print out 100, and then 90, 80, 70, 60, all the way down. Whoa, I was trying to do ... Autocomplete got in the way. All the way down to, should we do 0? Yeah, let's end at 0 or 10. Let's do 0. Okay, so we're going to need to make a variable. Often, we'll call it I, and it will start at 100. And in our loop, we'll print out I. We want to run while I is less than or equal to 0. No, while I is greater than or equal to 0, because we are going to be counting down and subtracting from I. So here we're incrementing. We're adding 2 each time, but I want to subtract. So 4, let I equals not 0. Gosh, it's just ingrained in my brain because that's the most common thing we do. We'll start at 100. I needs to be greater than or equal to 0 if I want to include 0. And then I minus equals 10. So each time through, subtract 10 from I. Let's see what happens. Console.log I. Refresh, and it worked. 10, 90, 80, 70, all the way down to, 100, 90, 80, 70, all the way down to 20, 10, 0. Cool. So those are a couple more for loops. You can even do really weird things that, honestly, this is incredibly uncommon. But I could have my variable I start at 10, and I want I to be greater than or equal to, let's do less than or equal to 100. And I'm going to multiply I each time. I equals I times 10, or I can just do I star equals 10. So let's do it while we're less than 1,000. So this will be very short. We'll start at 10. We print that out. We multiply by 10, so we get to 100. And we print that out. And then we multiply by 10 again. So just wanted to demonstrate that we can do this. We could use multiplication or subtraction, even division, but it's almost, I won't say guaranteed, but more likely than not what you'll see is just incrementing I, adding 1, sometimes adding something else, but usually you're just adding 1, honestly. And I'll show you some situations where this is a lot more useful than just printing out numbers like we're doing here. But we have to understand the foundation, the basic syntax. Okay, so the three pieces separated by semicolons are the variable that we create for the loop, the expression that needs to be true for the loop to continue running, and then the increment portion or decrement or whatever we're doing, we should be changing the value of our variables in some way so that eventually this becomes false and the loop stops. Otherwise, our loop will never end, and that's something we're about to talk about.